This video is brought to you by two motivating factors, you might say. The first is that my first hobby-grade radio control car was a stadium truck, just like this thing. It was the Tamiya Stadium Blitzer, and I built it in the mid-90s, and I really got a lot of fun out of that thing. The second is that I looked at the Senton as the first of the 10-scale 223S family from Arrma not too long ago. This thing has a center diff and it has a gyro. And this thing impressed me so much that it's kind of colored how I look at all stadium trucks now, or bashers I should say, not racers, but stadium trucks for bashing, absolutely. And it made such an impression on me that I also grabbed the Granite while I was at it, and we'll take a look at that, but we'll do that in another video. I'd like to compare the Granite to some of the other 110 scale monster trucks we've got here, particularly the associated MT10 Rival, because that might be the one to compare it to. Anyway, today we have the Vorteks. I haven't driven it, but I have popped it out of the box. I chose the correct color, which was this pink and purple fella, which I think just looks absolutely smashing. So also in the 223S range, you've got the Granite, which is like the jumpiest monster truck. We'll look at that. You've got the stadium truck, then you've got the short course truck, the Senton. Somewhere between the Granite and this guy is the Big Rock, and past the Senton, as far as going faster, not doing big air crazy flips, would be the Typhon. They all come with this same pack of stuff, a pretty decent set of tools, and we looked at the tools in the Senton. So if you're interested in the 223S range, I don't know for sure, but I expect you're going to find it's the same electronics throughout, same quality set of tools, the same drawback with the shocks having spacers and not thumb screws, but they're very nice shocks, and once you get the thing dialed in, you're pretty happy. You've got pretty much the same car, and yet the wheelbase is different. Lovely springs underneath this thing, by the way. The wheelbase is different. 3100 kV motor, the 80 amp ESC, the S662 servo, and the radio system will be the same. So it's going to be your wheelbase, your wheel size, and I suppose the look of the thing that's different. Otherwise, I suppose mass is going to be affected too, isn't it? Otherwise, it's just a case of what kind of car do you like better? You think about Arrma has a few other trucks, right? We've got the Fury range. Here, I kind of talked about this in the Senton video, but I'll just show you. I haven't got other stadium trucks here to make the point, but think about the Senton for a minute. You've got the Mojave 4S, which is absolutely smashingly good, and you've got the Fury 550 223. Oh no, sorry, this was the brush one, but there's a 223S version of that, rear-wheel drive as well. So you do have some choice here. It's not just about the four-wheel drive 110 scale 223S. Arrma is giving you quite a lot of choice here. And then you've got the 6S and the 8S bigger stuff as well. But I'm really interested in this, and I'll tell you why. And it's why I've got this Granite here, and it's also why I love the Senton so much. This system is really good. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. I have not received a single thing from Arrma ever. And being that I'm in Australia, and parent owner Horizon Hobbies is in the USA, there's probably little motivation to send stuff to an Australian influencer unless I got really big and the numbers made it worth it for them. I'm interested in this as a basher and as a hobbyist. What we're going to find that's different between this and the others will be the style of wheelie bar potentially, and the impact, rear impact system, and the front, the length of these A-arms, so what your track is, what your wheelbase is, front to rear, and then the size and type of the wheels, and really that's about it. I thought the motor size might be different. I thought it may not be a 3100 kV across the range, but it is the same 3100 kV motor, which means it's the same 2 or 3S battery capacity across the range. It's just the same electronics package all the way through. So we really are talking about just the type of car rather than the out-and-out performance. Now, the other thing to mention to you is that the diameter of the wheels, assuming the same gearing, which I'm not sure about, but assuming the same gearing for all these cars, from the smallest wheel to the biggest wheel, that's going to affect your top speed and your acceleration. In something like the Granite in the monster truck, where you want to do some crazy stunts like flipping forward or backwards in the air, just using your acceleration or braking to change the pitch of the thing, right? So let's talk stadium trucks for a minute. This is a stadium truck, which means it's something of a blend of a short course truck and a monster truck. It's still going to want a wheelie. It's still a fairly short wheelbase. The Stadium Blitzer was something like 230 mil wheelbase. Now think of your typical crawler, they're 313 mil, so they're actually getting quite a lot longer. So the wheelbase on this guy is 284 mil, and your Stadium Blitzer was 230-ish mil, I think. But that's still 11.2 inches. That's still not super long. Interestingly, the wheelbase on the Granite is the same as for this. So having bought this guy and looking at the Granite on the box, it's possible that the only difference is the body and the size of the wheels. So I might have made a bit of an oversight. We'll come back to it because I want to compare monster trucks. But unless you really like the 223S, don't buy this and the Granite because on paper they look very much the same. Now I will say that it's possible that these things will behave very differently even so. Do we have a track width to compare? Width 340 mil for the Granite. 334 for this. So there's literally that much width in difference, and the Granite is like a tiny little bit wider than this as well. So yeah, that's an interesting one. If you haven't met a 223S system before, this is the secret sauce. This is what makes it so special. Being a 3-channel, the SLT3 has one of the two things that makes these cars quite interesting to drive. That is the DSC, Dynamic Stability Control. It's basically a gyro that will countersteer as the car gets out of shape. It'll countersteer to straighten it up. It'll do it quickly. Now it's a 17 kilogram servo, and it's not particularly fast servo either, but it's fast enough for this kind of driving. You've got ball bearings throughout, and the whole thing rolls beautifully. Now the second thing that makes the 223S special is that it has a middle diff. And you can test if any car has a middle diff by locking one set of wheels and seeing if you can still turn the others. The fact that this can turn and the drive shaft is turning even though you can't see it, right, that tells you that there's a differential in here, because if there wasn't a diff, you wouldn't be able to turn these without one of these turning as well. That allows a power transfer between the front and the rear as you drive, as well as left to right. It also means you can lock 3 out of 4 wheels. In fact, I'll lock these three, and you'll see that you can still move a wheel, right? And the diff is turning. And that's how you can see that you've got a power transfer between all 4 wheels. That improves your traction a little bit, because when you're accelerating and the front picks up, your back's not going to lock up and send it spinning out into space. In a normal car that doesn't have a middle diff, you've got 50% of drive always going to the front and the rear, right? So even when it's up, 50% of the drive is still going to the rear. The fronts might be ballooning out, but the rears are going to be spinning just as fast. There's no transfer. Whereas here, the thinner your diff oil, the more is going to go to the unladen wheels. So these are going to spin like pancakes, and this will still be spinning, but you'll be getting forward traction without being out of control. It's also helpful in cornering, because as you load up around a corner, these wheels, the outside wheels, are taking a lot of the G-force, which means, and I don't think this has a sway bar, and nor should it really, as it turns, your insides, particularly your rear, or depending on if you're accelerating or braking, these are going to unload and they're going to spin quite a bit, and as they expand, which they will, they'll grab a little bit as well. A center diff just makes for smoother driving, let's put it that way. So those things combined, the center diff and the DSC together, as I found with the Senton 223S, made for sublime driving. It's rather an interesting system, and if you just want to have the middle diff action and have handling more like the MT10 rival, which is middle diff and no electronics beyond just raw inputs, you can have that. It takes 2 or 3S. I've got a big brick here. It says the maximum battery dimensions it takes are 6.5 inch by 2 inch by 1.9 inch. And it also wants you to have at least a 4,000 milliamp hour 25C. Now I've got a 6,000 milliamp hour 80C 3S battery. Don't even know if it's going to fit. I expect it will, but let's find out. I haven't measured it, so I just charged it because I thought, you know what, it should fit. And they've got this ingenious little thing. I liked this in their review of the Senton. It's a clip that'll hold your wires without affecting the grip that the straps have on the battery. And this, just so you know, this 6 amp brick does fit. And you'd even be able to go a shade bigger again, but that's pretty close to max. So that's 3S, a 6 amp brick from Zeee at least does fit. I'll stick this battery in the description as well. That'll be a link from Amazon. It'll give me a small kickback if you use the link, even if you don't buy that battery. Let's see if we can do this up here. Oh, So this is a new kind of hook and loop. It's not got the soft and the chewy side. It's all chewy. Okay, so before we drive this thing, let me introduce you to the Vorteks in particular. It's got a plastic tub chassis. It does have plastic shocks, plastic axles, plastic center shaft. It's a full metal drivetrain. And out of the box, you can generally expect from Arrma that everything's going to be tuned pretty nicely. Now, I've put a fairly big brick in here, and I don't know, I kind of wouldn't mind having slightly higher body in the rear, or perhaps lower in the front, I'm not sure. They've got spaces that you can remove, and there's just one small one in the front and a small and a medium in the rear. I generally wouldn't recommend messing with anything as you get it out of the box until you drive it. Drive it first and then see if you think it needs a change. The drive shaft in the middle here isn't shielded all the way through, so a rock can get in somewhere in here and it'll get a bit minced up. But they have addressed one major thing with this over the old BLX models, and that is this whole area is shielded, and it used to be rocks would get in near the rear and that would ruin your day pretty quick. It's a telescoping shaft, so when you want to replace it, this thing just kind of springs back and you can pull it out. There's some servicing involved though if you're going to do that on this newer one by the look of it, but I dare say it won't be many screws. It's pretty well put together. I quite like it. At least the rear will come out easily. You've got adjustable camber. Thanks to these links here, they are adjustable. The front also has that adjustability for camber, and you can also adjust the toe in and out with the ones at the back here. It's actually a fairly neutral setup at the front, and it's towed in and cambered in at the rear. That's going to be better on steering and better on high speed, and you may find on like the Granite it might be more towed out stock, I'm not sure. It's going to vary on the intended use of the car. Something like the Typhon, for example, which is their buggy, the front and the rear are going to be much more straight and much more upright in both cases because you've got a higher speed car there. These are also made more for speed. It's like their range kind of covers everything from speed bashing to big air jumping, which is your Granite, and it's kind of like a sliding scale. I think we're going to find, I don't know for sure, but I think we're going to find this is pretty much the most 223S of all the 223S models. And the reason I say that is your Granite has the big wheels, and it's for big sudden acceleration in the air. You can jump it, forward flip it, back flip it, whatever. The wheels are big enough that you can still flip the thing around. The wheelbase is shorter than the other two, I believe, which will give you a quicker transition in the air. So we should have something that mixes high-speed stability with off-road stuntability, let's say. We've got good protection here from gravel as the tyres are in here and flicking up stuff. These shields are going to keep a lot of crud out of the body. Not all of it, mind you, and there's still going to be a fine shading of dust and gravel and grass in here when we're done shortly. But that's nice. The other nice thing to see with Arrma is that it's got these shields for the shocks front and rear that keeps dust off your shock shafts and things from chipping them quite so badly, so that your seals stay intact longer in the shock body, which means they don't leak for much longer. That's the idea. There's an on-off switch on this side here. It'll light up when it's on. Little receiver wire there, which is good because that's not bundled up with other wires. It's actually very tidy inside here. It's an uncensored motor, which means on a higher kV motor you might get some cogging. In the last video I just did with the stupid knockoff thing, wherever it was, whatever the Remo thing was, I had a 4000 kV motor, and at low speeds you'll hear it go as it starts to go. 3100 kV means it's going to be fairly immediate. The brushless systems fire 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 rapidly. That's what the ESC sends to the motor. And the lower your kV, the less likely you are to see cogging because it's just going to go. It's just the nature of these things. The bell crank system is underneath here. There's a lot of flex in this system. So if you can see that little arm from here, I'll bring it a bit more neutrally. See how much flex there is in that? That's not actually a bad thing. The fact that I can force these wheels in and out fairly firm, like there's a lot of bend here. Not so much in the rear, but still plenty. But the front has a bunch of flex. Partly that's going to be in your bell crank system. This is abusive, don't do this yourself. I'm basically just trying to see how robust the steering system is. That's quite good. The reason I'm kind of abusing it like that is because when you have a bad landing, There are going to be ones where you just hit like that at speed and the whole thing's just going to get absolutely like hit so hard and bent. That's the kind of force that'll break many cars. These kind of cars are designed to take it. How much can they take? How about we go find out? I'll put a link down below on where I got this from, but again, this isn't a sponsored video. The closest thing to a sponsorship here is my channel members who brought this video to you in part by sending me some money each month. I make these videos for you very gladly, and at my own cost, I buy a lot of the stuff you see behind me, including this one. But my thanks go to these guys here who have chipped in quite a lot of money each month. Thank you so much, guys. I've got 3 tiers of support, and you can find more about channel members down below if you wish to support my work. My aim here has always been to just show you my experience with the cars. I'm not trying to be an in-depth reviewer so much. I'm really looking to give you an experiential look at a car. So what's it look like out of the box? How's it feel? What's the setup like? What kind of battery can it take? Are we able to adjust things? And then how's it drive? And maybe if it's not so good, how can we fix it up? That's my aim, and if you're enjoying that, throw me a like as well. Thank you. We've got springs here for the quick release body that goes on and off. Right, so it's on and it comes off. Maybe you've got to take the weight off it like that. I do wonder if dust is going to get into these mechanisms here, just what difference that's going to make. The way it holds on is by using these tensile pieces of metal to grab around the hook in these posts, which can wear out with time. Once this gets muddy and difficult to use, you'd have to wash it out and maybe oil it, or I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to last. It's pretty simple. Hopefully it'll last. It's not as robust as probably a body post type thing, but it also should be pretty strong. We've got these lovely big plates of plastic and reinforcement and the skids on the roof. So I'm hopeful that this body will last. It doesn't even so much have that much of a wing. Obviously it has a wing for this kind of car, but being that it's all attached, I don't know, I think it's kind of good. All right, well, we'll plug it in. It does come with AA batteries. After these are gone, I'll revert to using my nickel metal hydrides. I've got, I don't know, 16 or 20 of them that I just cycle through for all these different models. We'll power him up. There are 2 fans here. It's not going to be entirely quiet. Beep, beep, beep. That's 3S. Out of the box, the SR dial is your throw, your dual rate. It says S/R. If driving, brake and stop the vehicle safely, full turn right on the steering lock and hold it, and then press to cycle through modes. And I'm still holding it right, you'll notice. 1 is no DSC. So right now, I'll show you what that means. There's no gyro. Hold it right and tap it once. Now it's on low. It's counter steering, but only very slightly. That's how it comes, and that's how I'd recommend it. I'll show you what high is, because that'll be the best way to show you the difference. So basically it's going to want to keep these front wheels aiming at the camera here, no matter what I do. It's going to want to keep the car going the direction it was last steering. I wonder if there's an active mode, like if I'm steering this way, ooh, okay, so even as I steer, it's still going to try and maintain the direction I'm steering in. That's clever, that's an active gyro. The passive add-on modules you get, they don't necessarily do that. They might, but not all of them will. Certainly the old ones never used to. So that, I think that's really cool. Okay, just be aware at full lock, you're not going to get much DSC because it can't really correct. Right, so full right, press, now it's off. 2 beeps, now it's back onto low, which is what I want. And the trim out of the box should be right, but it actually looks a little bit out. Trim being where your center point is, right? And it beeps when it's at the middle. Theoretically, it's straight when it's middle. It actually came a little to the right, and I think that's what it wants. The wheels spin in the right direction. All good. Right, let's hit the dirt. Very first run with this thing. Now, I didn't mention this before, but the wheelie bar isn't adjustable, but it is removable. Now we're on 3S here, and I'm on the lowest of the 3 DSC settings. Wonderful pickup, as you'd expect from this car. Braking's pretty decent as well, actually. I like it. It's not a total wheelie beast either. Here's a full throttle pull. You ready? I'll go with no delicacy. I'll just launch. So there's a little bit of hesitation. Not much. I'll do it again. Going from 0 to full pull. So you can see it does wheelie a shade, but this is not a wheeling machine. And we are on 3S, not 2S, so this is the top speed. There is a throttle limiter, I didn't mention that. It's set to 100% out of the box, that's this guy here. You get 50, 75, 100. Pretty typical for the SLT3. And I like that you've got that option. Note how much dust and crud there is being flicked up. It's a windy day, right? What I didn't mention before was the protection for the bell crank. It's possible for the front wheels to spray gravel and stuff into the bell crank area and jam the steering. That absolutely happens. A stick just got caught then, for example, so we've got to reverse. Getting stuff caught certainly happens in any off-road car. It just does. We'll see how much is in the body, particularly in the fans, what's going to stop the fans from spinning too. It's certainly punchy, and it has all the speed I'd expect from a car like this. Now this is with DSC on low. Now if we turn this to the right and press the power button, that's medium. I'll just see how high it feels and I'll tell you. Usually this feels much too high. What ends up happening is no matter how much I steer, the car will stay straight, and in this case it is actually doing that. But it makes it feel quite a bit more sterile. Like I can't, I'm already overcorrecting because I'm used to overcorrecting. Just leaving it and letting the electronics sort it out. Yeah, look, it ends up going roughly where you want it to, but I don't enjoy that. Meanwhile, do it one more time. Now DSC's off. Now it's all up to me to keep it straight, and I'll show you what the difference is. I'm a fairly mediocre driver, so already I couldn't take off because I got lost. I was trying to avoid my big pile that needs to be burnt here. That was difficult. You've got to be a bit more careful with throttle, so I can't just be as sloppy. I've got to kind of feed it on a bit and then correct, because my reactions aren't as fast as the electronics. So you see how I'm losing the back end. Like, I'm not a great driver, we know this. I found this with the Senton as well. These tend to get a bit stiff once they get some dust in them. Both fans are running. Now, if this was the older BLX stuff, they'd both be full of stuff already. You see there's still a lot of dirt in here. Given how much dust there was, I mean, think back to just how much stuff we saw on the ground then. This is actually pretty good. So to see the fans still running is fantastic. I'm very happy with that. Pressing the buttons down can help it bed in. All right, let's take it down and see how it handles some jumps. All right, here we are. A little bit closer to these guys. We'll get it down to the track in a sec, but first, oh, okay. What I like about cars with this size wheel, and even bigger, is you get what I've referred to as air authority on the channel for quite some time. It's so good that I could actually out-accelerate what I needed to do then. So when you're in the air, you brake to bring the nose down and you accelerate to bring the nose up. And you want gentle input. So I just gave that a little bit of gentle throttle. Unlike the car I last looked at, which was a Slash clone, this is a decent car, and I know, just from experience with Arrma, this is going to be a great learner for driving in the air. Now, as far as backflips go, you want lots of speed, and then you hit the brakes when she's in the air. Awful landing, but you get the idea. If we were straight, we would have been okay. So that was a couple of nasty landings. When you get it straight, gee, it jumps nicely. And it has the acceleration needed to bring it back. But very much like the Kraton, being long and flat like this, once you're out of shape, you're going to be upside down quite a bit. Whoa, I'm still getting used to the punchy acceleration on this thing. The nice thing is, if you can keep it on its wheels, it's a happy little car. I'm going to move back and we'll see if we can just show you something a little bit meaner to it. We're going to need to go off the riskier middle hill, see if we can pull off a flip or two. Huh, well, that was a rough landing and we lost a wheel. Let's go have a look at that. To be fair, that was a nasty landing, but it's still on dirt. It's not, you know, we're not on concrete here, it's just dirt. But a break like that tells me we've probably snapped an axle, I'd say. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, so there's yeah, this threatened to happen with the original Senton, and it has happened with this thing. Let me see if I can pull this out. We're going to need to go back to the shed because I need a screwdriver and I'll show you what I've done. Instead of just bashing, I tried to blast and it didn't go so well. I'll talk about the obvious one first. These axles, remember I said everything was plastic before, all the drive shafts and stuff are plastic. They have metal inserts at each end of them. In fact, I'll show you a photo, that's probably easier. The drive shaft goes into a bearing inside the hub carrier, and there's a bearing on each side of the hub carrier, and this, I'll see if I can picture it for you. Okay, so if you look at the photo I just took, you've got the drive shaft going into a bearing, which goes into the hub carrier, which is this guy here, which has adjustability, by the way, 2 holes. Another bearing goes in that side, which is on here, and it's a sealed bearing. And then this shaped metal goes into the axle here. Now that has torn out, it's snapped itself, which is a real shame. I think I got all of 6 minutes of driving. What I was just doing then was abusive, and I'm kind of trying to do it on purpose, you know? I'm not trying to break the thing, but I am trying to give you an idea of what rough driving might look like in the hands of your friendly local 13-year-old, you know? Because kids are going to drive this, they're going to try and backflip it, and I was not on a stable surface, but it was dirt. I was just trying to backflip off it. Now, there's a plastic end to this axle and a screw, and that's really how it's supposed to sit. And if I put this back together right now, it'd drive. The problem is the axle is supposed to bed into the base of this piece, and this axle piece, which your wheel nut bolts onto, it kind of terminates in a piece of, is that metal or plastic? No, that's metal. You'd think in the bottom of the axle there'd be like just a metal nut on the other side to keep these held together, and that'd deal with this problem. That wouldn't happen. Now, it would have landed nastily. It would have landed like that, quite hard. Part of the problem here is that this thing's so heavy. This plus the battery, I mean, the whole thing weighs what? Do they even say the weight? I think they do. They say 3.43 kilos or 7.6 pounds without battery, and that's another 400 grams or like nearly half a kilo. It's a fair bit of mass in this thing, and so to land on one of these exposed wheels, it's just not protected in the way that the Senton is, where you've got the short course truck body shell, your wheels are up inside that. You land upside down or on the side, your body cops it. Now, speaking of the body, here's what I recommend if you get this car. Take a pair of snips, use eye protection, not like me. Just take a little triangular prism off these corners here, and the back. I thought I was recording when I showed this earlier, but I wasn't. What I've done is, I've just cut off the sharp parts of the end here, because they produced this dent here, which is visible under the body. When this landed upside down, the sharp edge of that reshaped the body. It's like it was sharp enough to hurt yourself on. It also did it in the rear, on both sides actually, but they're both pressing into the plastic of the wing, so that's going to last longer. But just getting rid of that sharpness is really going to help. Just the outside ones. I mean, on the back I'd be inclined to do it on the inside as well, actually. Just, you don't need much, like just so it's not sharp anymore, you know? I'm taking off the tiniest, like we're talking tiny little pieces I've cut off, right? Like here, you can barely see them, they're tiny, right? But that's the sharp bits, the sharp edges on these. I'm going to leave those ones because they're not going to touch the body. But that's going to help prevent this from happening, where it just cuts straight up through the polycarbonate, and yeah, it's just not what you want. I think out of the box that should have happened. The body also bent in the rear. Keep in mind this is 6 or 7 minutes total of driving on 3S and getting air. Good points. This thing is sublimely controllable. Like, the air authority in this car is just beautiful, beautiful. The only thing that's going to be better than this will be the granite, and I'm looking forward to getting that out. But the downside is you've got plastic in the drive shafts, which isn't particularly well held in, and I'm disappointed about that because it really lets the car down. The power system, beautiful, perfect. I found no lack of responsiveness. It did exactly what I wanted. I had more power on tap than I could even hope for. I'm still getting used to it, in fact. There are so many cars behind me, like not the crawlers obviously, but the faster stuff. You kind of need to pin the throttle to make it do stuff in the air. Not with this. You just breathe, like you just even think about it and it'll bring the nose up or down. It's so nice. Great power system. I really like it. The heat was radiating off it, so it really needs those fans. These protection things are vented, or the back is at least. There's enough air in there and the thing is nice. I didn't have much trouble with heat exiting. There was a lot of heat in there, but it was exiting okay. What was the other thing I thought of? Of course, the body here is going to be different to on the Senton, where the wheels are up underneath the body, so you're just going to get more stuff up inside the body. It was still pretty good. This is better. I'm going to go as far as not recommending this one, only because the exposed wheels like this I think are an issue with these axles. I'm going to see if I can replace these axles with something better. I think it should have been able to take that, you know, like it wasn't being bashed on for weeks on end and then it finally gave up. It gave up on the first drive. Yes, it was a hard landing, but it wasn't going all that fast. I think the problem is mass here and the exposed wheels and plastic. Plastic's great in the A-arms and you want linkages to be able to bend and stuff, right? There's a lot of creaking here now from all the dust. That bell crank, gee whiz. There's a lot of creaking, but you know, look, it's dusty. I've just blown it out with my air gun before I talk to you again, but she's fairly happy, but it really wants better axles, I reckon, for this kind of car. These axles are fine for the Senton. They're probably fine for the Typhon as well. But this and the Big Rock in particular, I wonder about. Now, the Granite may be a different kettle of fish. I'm not sure. Its wheels are going to be bigger again. Are you going to be getting the same speed or are they going to have different gearing? I don't know. I'm pretty sure the box said 50 mile per hour though on the outside. Is that right? It does. It says 50 plus. So that's a worry. Bigger wheels means more heat and faster battery drain as well. So far, out of all the cars I've got here from Arrma, the Mojave 4S and the Senton 223S are my picks for fun and durability. These exposed wheels and the plastic axles just don't quite get me over, but I tell you what, it's otherwise a sublime car. You make your own decision. You're not going to drive like a buffoon like I just did, but I really am trying to find some weaknesses. And well, that was a mission successful, wasn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Throw me a like and I'll catch you next time on RC-TNT, and we'll keep looking at some of these Arrmas pretty soon because they're certainly interesting and worthy of it, aren't they? I'll catch you next time.